The voicemail from the bottom of the lake. I found the phone on a Tuesday, wedged between the roots of a fallen oak on the shore of Lake Harlow. That in itself wasn't strange. People lose things at the lake all the time, sunglasses, keys, cheap floaties, but this phone was pristine, not a speck of mud, no water damage, the screen bright and full of charge. It was a model from about 6 years ago, an old Samsung, the kind that had a physical home button. It sat in that dirt like someone had placed it there that morning. I was out there for a story, you see. I'm a stringer for a regional paper, the kind that covers zoning board meetings and high school football. But I was working on something else on my own time. A cold case. The disappearance of a girl named Riley Vance who went missing from this exact stretch of shore in the summer of 2017. 9 years ago. She was 18, had just graduated high school, worked at the Dairy Queen on Route 9. She came down to the lake for a bonfire with friends and never came back. They dragged the water for 2 weeks, found nothing. No body, no clothes, just her flip-flops still sitting on a flat rock where she'd left them like she'd vanished into thin air. I'd been coming to the lake for weeks, interviewing old friends, rereading archived forum posts, just trying to get a feel for the place, trying to feel something. And then I found the phone. I picked it up feeling a little guilty, like I was already intruding on a crime scene. I pressed the home button. A lock screen appeared, a generic photo of a sunset, no passcode. I swiped up and the phone opened to the home screen, just a few apps, the clock, a calendar, a single solitary icon for the voice memo app. There were no messages, no contacts, no call history, no photos, just that one app. I opened it. The first thing I saw was a list of recordings, all with timestamps. The most recent one was dated August 14th, 2017. That was the day Riley Vance disappeared. I felt a chill roll down my spine that had nothing to do with the weather. My finger hovered over the faded play button. The file was simply called Hello 2. I hit play. The audio was scratchy, like it was recorded from inside a heavy wind. At first, just the sound of rushing water and a low, groaning creak like a dock shifting on its pilings. Then a voice. It was a young woman's, thin and reedy but loud, panicked. "Don't go," she was shouting. "Please, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to see it. I'm not going to tell anyone." There was a pause in the recording, filled only by the watery, cavernous sound. Then another voice, but this one didn't sound human. It was low, a sort of sub-bass hum that I felt in my teeth more than I heard with my ears. It vibrated in the phone's tiny speaker, making it crackle. "You have seen what is under the water," the voice boomed. The recorded words were clear, but manufactured, like a bad digital text-to-speech program reading a static-filled script. "I don't understand," the girl sobbed. "I was just swimming, it was right there. Is it real? Is it real?" "It is real," the voice thundered, and the water sound swelled like a wave crashing against the microphone. "It is always real, and now you are part of its memory. Everyone will see you, but they will not see it. This is the agreement." The girl's voice was barely a whisper now, choked with tears. "What agreement? I didn't agree to anything. Please, I want to go home." "You are home," the voice said, and then the recording cut off. I sat there on the fallen oak, staring at the phone in my hand. The sun was getting low, making the lake look like a sheet of brushed steel. My heart was hammering. I replayed it. I listened to it 3 more times, each time the same thing, the same horror in her voice, the same impossible, gravelly pronouncement from the thing that shouldn't have a voice. This was it. This was the break in the case. I had the evidence, but it was too strange. It was real, but it couldn't be. This wasn't a murder tape. It was a confession, but who or what was confessing? I had to go to the police, but what would I tell them? That a ghost phone told me the lake is a digital entity collecting memories. They'd think I was the one who'd gone crazy. Driven by a reporter's instinct, I decided to interview the key witness. The woman who had been with Riley that night. Her name was Sarah Mayers. She still lived in town, worked as a dental hygienist, had a family now. I'd spoken to her before, but she'd been cagey. This time I had her in her kitchen, a cup of coffee cooling between us. I didn't show her the recording, not yet. I asked her about the bonfire. She got that familiar, closed-off look. "I already told you," she said, fiddling with her mug. "We were all there, maybe 10 of us. We had some drinks. Riley said she was going to go cool off, wade in the shallows. We heard her shout, but we thought she was laughing. When we looked, she was gone. It was like she was just pulled under. No scream, no struggle, just gone." "And the water?" I asked, leaning forward. "Was it calm?" Sarah's face went pale. "It was. It was still, too still. Our whole lives, that lake had little waves lapping at the shore, even on a windless day. But that night the water was like glass, like it was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. That detail wasn't in any of the police reports. It wasn't part of any online forum. It was a tiny human detail that had haunted her for 9 years. I pulled out the phone. "Sarah, I need you to listen to something, and I need you to tell me if that's Riley's voice." I pressed play. The same scratchy sound filled her pristine kitchen. She listened, her jaw tight. When the booming voice came through, she flinched. When it was over, she stared at me, eyes wide and wet. "That's her," she whispered. "That's Riley, but who? What is that other voice?" "I was hoping you could tell me," I said. "You said the water was like glass. Did you see anything in the water?" She shook her head, a violent motion. "No, nothing. We just saw her dive in and then nothing, but Carl, you know Carl Henderson, he was the jock. He thought he saw something, a shadow, but he said it wasn't a fish. It was too broad, like a wall, moving just under the surface. But we all chalked it up to the cheap beer." I thanked Sarah and left, my mind churning. I went back to my apartment and listened to the recording again, dissecting the words. "It is part of its memory. Everyone will see you, but they will not see it." It was cryptic bullshit, but it was the only clue I had. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the lake's unnatural stillness, about the agreement. The town had a history, after all. Old-timers told stories about the lake being bottomless or having a strange current that pulled things down that never resurfaced. I remember my grandfather telling me about how they used to dump old, broken machinery into it in the 50s. We called it the junk pile, but no one ever actually saw any junk. I think they were scared to look. My reporter's mind went into overdrive. The recording wasn't a piece of evidence, it was a digital artifact. What if the lake wasn't a lake? What if it was a giant, ancient machine, a processor submerged in the earth? And what if people, memories, souls, whatever, were its data? Riley had seen what is under the water, and now she was part of its memory, a file stored on a server that was the size of a county. The next day, I drove back to the lake. The place was quiet, deserted on that weekday afternoon. I stood on the shore, looking at the dark, still water. The air was thick and humid, and there was a strange, low hum in the air that I hadn't noticed before. It was a sound like a power station, a deep electrical thrum. I pulled out the phone. I don't know why I did it. I guess I wanted to see if it was still functional. I pressed the home button. The screen flickered to life. The lock screen wasn't a sunset anymore. It was a picture of me. It was a photo of me standing on the shore, just as I was now, holding a phone to my ear. The angle was from the water, slightly below the surface. The image was distorted, rippled by the water, but it was unmistakably me. The timestamp in the corner read, "Today, 3:47 p.m. That was right now. I fumbled with the phone, my fingers shaking, and went back to the voice memo app. There was a new file. It was called Hello 3. I didn't want to listen to it, but my thumb pressed play. The recording started with my own voice. "I was hoping you could tell me," it said. It was from earlier that day, my conversation with Sarah. It was exact. Then my voice stopped, replaced by that same low thrum. The booming, digital voice came through, addressing me directly. "You are now part of its memory, like the girl. You have seen into the dark, but the dark has also seen into you. Everyone will remember your face, but they will not remember your question. This is the new agreement." The recording ended. I looked at the phone. The screen showed my reflection in the dark glass, but my reflection was smiling. It wasn't my smile. I looked up at the lake. The water wasn't still anymore. It was crawling. Tiny rippling motions, like the surface was covered in a million indistinct, fuzzy shapes, all writhing just beneath the film. They were all looking at me. I'm not on the shore anymore. I'm not anywhere, really. But I can see my town. I can see my apartment. I can see the police station. I can see Sarah crying in her kitchen. And I can see a man standing on the shore of the lake holding an old Samsung phone to his ear, listening to a recording of a voice that shouldn't exist. He's looking at the water. I can see him through the screen. And I know, because I've been stored here, that he's about to hear my voice on the caller ID. He's going to answer it. And then he'll take my place out there in the sunlight. And I'll be stuck here, a single file in a lake of static, watching the world from the bottom of a screen. I just hope he doesn't try to shut it off. There's no power button here, only darkness.